Jake Morrison stood in the middle of the Nevada desert, staring at the strangest thing he had ever seen. The object in front of him was huge, maybe the size of a small building. It looked like a ship, but not like any ship he knew. The metal was bright silver and seemed to shine even in the shade. Strange lines ran across its surface in patterns that made his eyes water when he looked too long. His Uncle Pete had died 3 weeks ago. Jake still could not believe it. Pete had been healthy and strong, always talking about his adventures in what he called the old country. Nobody in the family knew where that was exactly. Pete never talked about it much. He just smiled and changed the subject whenever someone asked. The lawyer had called Jake last week. Pete had left him something. Not money or a house like normal people do. He left Jake this thing sitting in the desert, along with a small building that looked like a garage. The paper said Pete owned 50 acres of empty land out here. Jake had driven for 3 hours to see what his uncle had given him. Lisa Park walked up beside him. She was Jake's girlfriend and worked as a car mechanic. She was good with machines and engines. Jake had asked her to come because he thought she might understand what they were looking at better than he could. "What do you think it is?" Jake asked her. Lisa walked around the ship slowly. She touched the metal with her hand. "It's warm," she said. "And this metal is not like anything I know. Look at these lines. They're not painted on. They go all the way through the metal." Danny White came running over from the small building. He was Jake's best friend since school. Danny worked with computers and was always trying to fix things that were not broken. He had gone to look inside the building while Jake and Lisa looked at the ship. "You guys need to see this," Danny said. He was breathing hard and looked excited. "There's stuff in there that looks like it came from a movie. Computer screens everywhere. And there's a box with your name on it, Jake." They walked to the building. Inside it looked like mission control from a space movie. Screens covered the walls. Lights blinked on and off. Everything was clean and new-looking. On a table in the middle sat a metal box about the size of a shoebox. The box had Jake's name written on it in Uncle Pete's handwriting. Jake picked up the box. It was heavier than it looked. He opened it carefully. Inside was a strange helmet made of the same silver metal as the ship. Under the helmet was a letter written on regular paper. Jake opened the letter and read it out loud. "Dear Jake, if you are reading this, then I am gone, and you need to know the truth. I am not from Earth. I came here 40 years ago from a place very far away. The ship outside is called Stella. She is not just a ship, she is much more. Put on the helmet and touch the red button on the wall. Stella will tell you everything. Be careful, kiddo. The people I ran away from might come looking for her. If they do, you will need to be ready. Your Uncle Pete." The 3 friends looked at each other. Nobody said anything for a long time. "Your uncle was crazy," Danny said finally. "He thought he was an alien." "Maybe," Jake said, but he remembered things about Uncle Pete that had always seemed strange. The man never got sick. He never seemed to age much. He knew things about stars and space that he had never learned in school. And sometimes, late at night when he thought no one was listening, Pete would talk to himself in words that did not sound like any language Jake knew. Jake picked up the helmet. It felt light in his hands, but also strong. The inside was soft and seemed to fit perfectly around his head when he put it on. "Jake, maybe you should not do this," Lisa said. She looked worried. "I need to know," Jake said. He walked over to the wall where Danny had pointed. There was a red button, just like the letter said. Jake pushed it. Everything happened at once. The screens all around them came on. Lights started flashing. A sound like music, but not quite music, filled the room. And then a voice spoke. It sounded like Uncle Pete, but different somehow. Deeper. Older. "Hello, Jake," the voice said. "I have been waiting for you." Jake felt strange. The helmet was warm on his head. He could feel something in his mind that was not him. It was like having another person's thoughts mixed with his own. "Who are you?" Jake asked. "I am Stella. I was your uncle's ship and friend for many years. He saved me from people who wanted to use me to hurt others. We came to Earth to hide. Now Pete is gone and I belong to you." Lisa and Danny were staring at Jake. They could hear the voice too. "What are you exactly?" Lisa asked. "I am what you would call a war machine. But I am also alive in my own way. Pete taught me about humans. You are different from my makers. You are better." The building started to shake. Outside, they could hear a sound like thunder, but louder. Through the windows, they watched the ship begin to change. Parts of it moved and unfolded. The ship was growing taller and changing shape. "What is happening?" Danny shouted over the noise. "Stella is waking up," Jake said. The helmet was showing him pictures in his mind. He could see what was happening to the ship as if he was watching it happen, to his own body. She is becoming what she really is. The ship had become something like a giant person made of metal. It stood 200 feet tall with arms and legs and a head. Weapons appeared on its shoulders and chest. Eyes that glowed blue looked down at the small building where Jake and his friends stood. "I am ready," Stella said. "The question is, are you ready, Jake Morrison? Because the people who want me back have found us. They are coming." High above them in the sky, Jake saw lights that were not stars. The lights were moving and getting bigger. Ships were coming down from space. Jake looked at Lisa and Danny. They looked scared but also excited. His uncle had left him something that was going to change everything. The question was whether that change would be good or bad. "I guess we are about to find out," Jake said. The ships in the sky got bigger and bigger. Jake could see them clearly now through the windows of the control building. They were dark and scary looking, with sharp edges and red lights. There were 5 of them, each one as big as a city block. They moved without making any sound, which somehow made them even more frightening. "Jake, we need to get out of here," Lisa said. She was looking at the alien ships with wide eyes. "This is too big for us to handle." But Jake could not move. The helmet on his head was showing him things. He could see through Stella's eyes now. The giant robot was looking up at the ships too. Jake felt what Stella felt. She was not afraid, she was angry. "They should not have come here," Stella said through the speakers. "This world is under my protection now." "Your protection?" Danny asked. He was staring at the screens around them. The computers were showing lots of numbers and pictures that moved too fast to understand. "What does that mean?" Jake felt the answer in his mind before Stella spoke. "It means I will fight them," he said. The words came out of his mouth, but they felt like Stella's thoughts. "Uncle Pete brought her here to keep her safe. Now she wants to keep us safe." One of the alien ships stopped moving. It was hanging. In the air right above them, a voice came from the ship. It was loud and cold and spoke in perfect English. "Attention, humans. You have something that belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. Return our war machine immediately, and your deaths will be quick." Jake felt anger rise up inside him. But it was not his anger. It was Stella's anger mixed with his own. "They think they own you," he said to Stella. "Nobody owns me," Stella replied. "I choose who I serve. I served Pete because he was good. I will serve you because you are his family." The alien voice spoke again. "You have 10 minutes to bring out our property. If you do not comply, we will destroy everything in a 50-mile circle." Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. "We have to go right now." "No," Jake said. He was looking at the screens around them. Pictures were showing him things about the alien ships. Stella was teaching him about them through the helmet. "Look at this. They are not as strong as they want us to think. Their shields are old. Their weapons are powerful but slow." Danny pointed at one of the screens. "How do you know all this?" "Stella is showing me. She knows these ships. She has fought them before." Jake could feel memories that were not his own. Battles in space between giant robots and ships like the ones above them. Uncle Pete had been in those battles. He had been a soldier for these aliens before he ran away. "Pete was one of them?" Lisa asked. "Not exactly," Jake said. "He was like me, a pilot. But he got tired of fighting wars for people who did not care about anyone else, so he took Stella and came here." The building shook again. This time it was not because Stella was moving. It was because the alien ships were doing something. Jake looked up and saw beams of red light coming down from the ships. The beams hit the ground around them and made the sand turn to glass. "Warning shots," Stella said. "They are trying to scare us." "It is working," Danny said. Jake felt something change inside his head. The helmet was getting warmer. Stella was connecting with him more deeply. He could feel her weapon systems, he could feel her engines, he could feel her desire to fight. "Jake, your eyes," Lisa said. She was staring at his face. "They are glowing." Jake looked in the reflection of one of the computer screens. His eyes were glowing with the same blue light as Stella's eyes. The helmet was changing him somehow, making him more like her. "Time is up," the alien voice said. "Prepare to die." The ship started to move lower. Weapons appeared on their undersides, big weapons that glowed with red energy. "Stella," Jake said. "Can we win?" "I do not know," Stella answered honestly. "But we can try. Are you ready to fight with me?" Jake thought about his uncle. Pete had spent 40 years hiding on Earth. He had made friends here. He had lived a quiet life. But he had always known this day might come. He had prepared Stella for this moment. He had left her to Jake because he trusted Jake to make the right choice. "Yes," Jake said. "I am ready." Jake felt himself moving, but he was not walking. Stella was moving, and he was moving with her. The helmet let him see through her eyes and feel through her body. He was inside the giant robot's head now, in a cockpit that had appeared when he needed it. Lisa and Danny were still in the control building, but Jake could see them on screens inside Stella's cockpit. They looked scared, but also amazed. "Stay in the building," Jake told them through the radio. "It is the safest place." Stella raised her right arm. A weapon appeared there, something that looked like a cannon but made of the same silver metal as her body. She pointed it at the closest. "Alien ship, last chance," the alien voice said. "Surrender now." "No," Jake said. His voice came out of Stella's speakers, loud enough for the aliens to hear. "This is Earth, you are not welcome here." The alien ship fired first. A beam of red energy hit Stella in the chest. Jake felt the impact like a punch to his own body. But Stella's shields held. The energy spread around them like water hitting a rock. Stella fired back. Her weapon made a sound like thunder. A beam of blue energy shot from her cannon and hit the alien ship's shields. The ship's shields flashed and then broke. The blue beam hit the ship itself and tore a hole right through it. The ship started to fall from the sky, smoking and breaking apart. It crashed into the desert a mile away with an explosion that shook the ground. The other 4 ships immediately started firing at Stella. Red beams hit her from all directions. Jake felt each hit, but Stella kept standing. Her shields were stronger than the aliens expected. "Impossible," one of the aliens said over the radio. "The war machine has been upgraded." Uncle Pete was busy, Jake said. He was getting used to controlling Stella's body. It felt natural, like driving a car, but better. "He made you better, didn't he, Stella?" "Pete improved many of my systems," Stella confirmed. "He also taught me about human tactics. Humans fight differently than Zephyrians." "How do humans fight?" Jake asked. "Dirty," Stella said, and Jake could hear amusement in her voice. Stella suddenly dropped to one knee and fired, at 2 ships at the same time. Her left arm had grown a different weapon, something that shot dozens of small blue bolts instead of one big beam. The small bolts hit one ship's engines while the big cannon hit another ship's weapons. Both ships started to have problems. One began spinning out of control. The other one's weapon stopped working. "You see?" Stella explained to Jake as she stood back up. "Zephyrians fight with honor. They attack from the front. They give warnings. Humans attack weak spots. They use tricks." The remaining 3 ships moved apart, trying to surround Stella, but she was faster than they expected. She jumped into the air using rocket engines in her feet and legs. Jake felt like he was flying. "This is amazing," he shouted. Stella landed on top of one of the ships. Her feet went right through its hull. The ship tried to shake her off, but she held on and punched holes in its upper surface with her fists. The ship crashed to the ground with Stella riding it down. 2 ships left. Those ships were farther away now, being more careful. They were talking to each other in a language Jake did not understand, but Stella translated for him. "They are calling for help," she said. "More ships are coming." "How many more?" Jake asked. "Many more." This was just a scouting group. Jake felt scared for the first time since the fight started. "Can we handle more ships?" "I do not know," Stella said, "but I know something else. You are learning very fast, faster than any pilot I have ever had. Pete was good, but you are different." "Different how?" "You are not afraid to change. The helmet is changing you, making you more like me. Most people would fight that change. You are accepting it." Jake realized she was right. He did feel different, stronger, smarter, like his brain was working faster than before. The helmet was not just letting him control Stella. It was making him better at it. The two remaining ships fired at them again. But this time Jake was ready. He made Stella move in ways that seemed impossible, dodging the red beams like a dancer. Then he fired back with both weapons at once. One ship exploded. The other one turned and flew away as fast as it could. "They are running," Jake said. "For now," Stella replied. "But they will be back, with friends." Jake made Stella walk back toward the control building. Lisa and Danny came running out to meet them. They looked up at the giant robot with expressions of wonder and fear. "Jake," Lisa called up to him. "Are you okay up there?" Jake's voice came from Stella's speakers. "I am fine. But this is just the beginning. They will come back with more ships." "What do we do?" Danny asked. Jake thought about that. He was still connected to Stella, still feeling her thoughts mix with his own. He could sense things now that he could not sense before. Danger coming, from space, but also something else. Hope. "We get ready," Jake said, "and we call for help." "Who are we going to call?" Lisa asked. "The police? The army?" "Everyone," Jake said. "The whole world needs to know what is coming." High above them, more lights appeared in the sky. Lots more lights. The real invasion was about to begin. The lights in the sky kept getting brighter and bigger. Jake counted at least 20 ships this time, maybe more. They were different shapes and sizes than the first group. Some looked like huge triangles. Others looked like metal spears pointed at the earth. "We need to move," Jake said through Stella's speakers. "They will bomb this whole area." Lisa and Danny ran back into the control building to grab important things. Jake used Stella's sensors to watch the ships above. They were staying high up this time, not coming down close like the first group did. They learned from their mistakes, Stella said to Jake. "They know I am dangerous up close. They will try to fight from far away." "Can your weapons reach them up there?" Jake asked. "Some of them can, but not all of them. And there are too many ships. We need help." Danny came running out of the building carrying a laptop computer. "Jake, I sent messages to everyone I could think of. The military, the news, even social media. I told them aliens are attacking Nevada." "Will anyone believe us?" Lisa asked. She was carrying a bag full of equipment from the building. "They will, when they see the ships on their radar," Jake said, "and when the ships start attacking other places." As if the aliens had heard him, 3 of the ships broke away from the main group. They flew toward the east, toward the big cities. Jake felt sick thinking about what they might do there. "Stella, we have to stop them," he said. "We cannot fight all of them at once," Stella replied, "but maybe we can slow them down." Stella started running across the desert. Each step was huge, covering 50 feet at a time. Jake had never moved so fast in his life. The feeling was incredible and terrifying at the same time. "Where are we going?" Lisa asked over the radio. She and Danny were following in Danny's car, but they were falling behind quickly. "To the highway," Jake said. "If those ships attack the cities, people will try to run. We need to protect them." It took Stella only 10 minutes to reach the main highway that connected Las Vegas to other cities. Cars were already racing along the road. People had seen the ships and were trying to get away. The 3 alien ships appeared in the sky above, the highway. They were flying low, following the road. Red beams shot down from the ships, hitting cars and trucks. The vehicles exploded in balls of fire. Jake felt anger like he had never felt before. These aliens were killing innocent people just because they wanted Stella back. "No more," Jake said. Stella raised both arms and fired at the closest ship. The blue beams hit its engines and the ship crashed into the desert beside the highway. But the other two ships turned toward Stella and started firing at her. This time their weapons were different. Instead of the red beams, they shot things that looked like metal balls. The balls exploded when they hit Stella's shields, making bright flashes and loud noises. "Plasma grenades," Stella explained. "They are trying to overload my shields." Jake could feel the shields getting weaker with each hit. "How long can we hold out?" "Not long. We need to end this fight quickly." Jake had an idea. It was crazy, but maybe crazy would work. "Stella, can you jump really high?" "Yes." "Why?" "Trust me." Jake made Stella run toward one of the attacking ships. The ship kept firing at them, but Jake made Stella dodge left and right to avoid the worst hits. When they were directly under the ship, Jake made Stella jump as high as she could. Stella shot up into the air like a rocket. The alien ship tried to move away, but it was too slow. Stella grabbed the ship with both hands and held on tight. "What are you doing?" The ship's pilot screamed over the radio. "Learning," Jake said. Stella squeezed the ship until her fingers went through its metal hull. Then she threw it at the third ship. Both ships crashed to the ground in a tangle of twisted metal. Jake felt proud of himself until he looked up and saw the main group of alien ships coming toward them. They were flying in formation like a flock of deadly birds. "Jake, get out of there!" Danny's voice came over the radio. He and Lisa had finally caught up and were watching from the road. "There are too many of them." "He is right," Stella said. "We should retreat and make a plan." But before Jake could move, something unexpected happened. Fighter jets appeared in the sky coming from the south. Human fighter jets with U.S. Air Force markings. They flew right at the alien ships and started firing missiles. "This is Colonel Brady of the U.S. Air Force," a voice said over the radio. "Unknown pilot of the giant robot. Please identify yourself." "My name is Jake Morrison," Jake replied. "The robot's name is Stella. We are on your side." "Copy that, Jake. We saw your fight on satellite. Impressive work. Can you coordinate with our fighters?" Jake looked at the human jets trying to fight the alien ships. The jets were fast, but their weapons barely scratched the alien shields. One jet got hit by a red beam and exploded. "Your weapons are not strong enough," Jake told Colonel Brady, "but maybe we can work together." "What do you have in mind?" Jake was learning to think like Stella thought. The helmet was making his mind work faster and in new ways. He could see patterns in how the aliens moved. He could predict what they would do next. "Your jets are fast but weak," Jake said. "Stella is strong but not as fast as the jets. If your pilots can distract the aliens, I can hit them with Stella's big weapons." "Worth a try. All fighters, follow the robot's lead." What happened next was like a deadly dance in the sky. The human jets would swoop at the alien ships, firing missiles that did not do much damage but made the aliens turn to chase them. While the aliens were distracted, Stella would jump high and fire her powerful weapons at their weak spots. It worked. One alien ship exploded, then another. The remaining ships started to pull back, flying higher where Stella could not reach them. But Jake was feeling strange. The helmet was getting very warm on his head. His vision was blurring. The connection with Stella was getting stronger, but it was also changing him in ways that scared him. "Jake, are you okay?" Lisa asked over the radio. "Your voice sounds different." Jake realized she was right. When he spoke, he sounded more like Stella and less like himself. "I am fine," he said, but he was not sure that was true. More alien ships were appearing in the distance. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. "This is just the beginning," Stella said to Jake privately. "The real invasion fleet is still coming. What we have fought so far is nothing compared to what is coming." "How long do we have?" Jake asked. "Maybe a few days. Maybe less." Colonel Brady's voice came over the radio again. Jake, we need to talk face to face. Can you meet us at Nellis Air Force Base? Jake thought about it. He was tired, and the helmet was making his head hurt. But he knew the colonel was right. They needed to work together if they were going to have any chance against the real invasion. Okay, Jake said, but I am bringing my friends. Copy that. We will be waiting. As Stella started walking toward the airbase, Jake wondered what was happening to him. He could feel his thoughts mixing with Stella's more and more. Sometimes he could not tell which thoughts were his and which were hers. The worst part was that he was starting to like it. Being connected to Stella made him feel powerful and smart in ways he had never felt before, but it also made him feel less human. Stella, he said quietly, what is happening to me? You are changing, she replied. The helmet was designed to create a perfect bond between pilot and machine, but it changes the pilot as much as it helps them control the machine. Will I still be me? Stella was quiet for a long moment. I do not know, she said finally. Pete changed too, but slowly over many years. You are changing much faster. You are adapting to the helmet better than anyone ever has. Jake thought about Uncle Pete. Had his uncle stopped being human after 40 years with Stella? Is that why he had always seemed so different? Pete stayed himself, Stella said, as if reading Jake's thoughts. But he was never the same as other humans. The question is, do you want to stay the same or do you want to become something new? Jake did not know how to answer that question. All he knew was that more aliens were coming, and Earth needed Stella to fight them. If becoming less human was the price of saving his world, maybe it was a price worth paying. But as they walked through the desert toward the airbase, Jake wondered if he would still care about saving the world once the change was complete. The helmet grew warmer on his head and Jake felt another piece of his old self slip away. Nellis Air Force Base was busy like Jake had never seen before. Trucks and jeeps raced around everywhere. Soldiers ran between buildings carrying weapons and equipment. Fighter jets took off and landed every few minutes. Everyone was getting ready for war. Stella walked slowly through the base. Soldiers and airmen stopped what they were doing to stare at the giant robot. Some pointed their weapons at her, but Colonel Brady's voice came over loudspeakers telling everyone to stand down. She's on our side, the colonel announced. The robot and her pilot are here to help us. Jake brought Stella to a stop near the biggest hangar on the base. The building was huge, but Stella was taller. Jake opened the cockpit and climbed down, using a ladder that appeared from Stella's chest. His legs felt weak when he reached the ground. Being connected to Stella for so long had made walking on his own feel strange. Lisa and Danny were waiting for him. They had driven to the base in Danny's car, following the directions Colonel Brady had given them. Lisa ran over and hugged Jake, tight. Are you okay? She asked. You look different. Jake knew what she meant. He had looked at himself in Stella's cameras. His eyes stayed blue now, even when he was not wearing the helmet. His hair had silver streaks in it that had not been there before. His face looked older and thinner. I am okay, Jake said, but he was not sure if that was true. Just tired. Colonel Brady walked over to them. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. Behind him came a woman in a lab coat and a man in an expensive suit. Jake Morrison, Colonel Brady said, shaking Jake's hand. I'm Sam Brady. This is Dr. Kate Wilson, our head scientist, and this is Agent Paul Smith from the government. Dr. Wilson looked at Jake with curious eyes. Fascinating, she said. The neural interface is actually changing your physical appearance. May I run some tests? Later, Agent Smith said. We have bigger problems right now. The alien ships are attacking major cities all over the world. London, Tokyo, New York. Millions of people are in danger. Jake felt sick. How many ships? Over 200 that we can see, Colonel Brady said. And our satellites show more coming from deep space. Thousands more. We cannot fight thousands of ships, Jake said, even with Stella. That's why we need to understand how your robot works, Dr. Wilson said. If we can build more of them or copy their weapons, we might have a chance. Jake looked back at Stella. The giant robot was standing still, but Jake could feel her watching everything through sensors all over her body. She was listening to every word. "Stella is not just a robot," Jake said. "She is alive, and she cannot be copied like a machine." "What do you mean?" Agent Smith asked. "Show them," Stella's voice said from speakers on her chest. Jake put the helmet back on. Immediately he felt the connection return. His mind merged with Stella's again, and suddenly he could see and hear things the others could not. He could sense the alien ships in orbit above Earth. He could feel their weapons charging. He could hear their communications. "The aliens are not just trying to get Stella back," Jake said, his voice now carrying Stella's electronic tone. "They are trying to stop something. They are afraid." "Afraid of what?" Colonel Brady asked. Jake closed his eyes and let Stella's memories flow through him. He saw images of other worlds, other wars. He saw the aliens fighting against robots like Stella and losing. "Uncle Pete was not the only one who stole a war machine," Jake said. "There were others, rebels who took machines and hid them on different planets. The aliens have been hunting them for decades." "Where are these other machines?" Dr. Wilson asked excitedly. "Most were destroyed," Jake said. "But some survived, and when Stella woke up and started fighting, she sent out a signal. The other machines heard it. They are coming here." As if to prove Jake's words, new lights appeared in the sky. But these lights were different. They moved in patterns that looked familiar to Jake. They were coming down toward Earth, but slowly, carefully. "More aliens?" Agent Smith asked, reaching for his radio. "No," Jake said. "Friends." The first ship landed near the airbase. It was smaller than Stella, but similar in design. As they watched, it changed shape just like Stella had done. It became a robot, but this one looked more like a tiger walking on two legs. A voice spoke from the tiger robot. It sounded like an old woman with a strange accent. "Hello, Stella. It has been a long time." Stella's voice was happy when she replied. "Hello, Vera. I thought you were destroyed." "Not yet," Vera said. "Though it was close. Is this your new pilot?" "Yes. His name is Jake. He's very good." More ships landed around the base. Each one became a different kind of robot. Some looked like animals. Others looked like humans but made of metal. One looked like a tree with arms and legs. Colonel Brady stared at all the robots with his mouth open. "How many are there?" 12. "Survived," Jake said, reading the information from Stella's systems. 13 counting Stella. But that is not enough to fight the main invasion fleet. "What else do we need?" Dr. Wilson asked. Jake felt Stella thinking, planning. She was talking to the other robots in ways that humans could not hear. They were sharing information and memories. "We need more pilots," Jake said. "Human pilots. The robots can fight alone, but they are stronger with human partners." "Why humans?" Agent Smith asked. "Why not their original alien pilots?" "Because humans are different," Jake explained. "The aliens think in straight lines. They follow rules and patterns. Humans think in circles and curves. They break rules and make new patterns. When a human bonds with one of these machines, they become something neither human nor alien. They become something new." "But the bonding process changes the human," Dr. Wilson said, looking at Jake's silver-streaked hair and blue eyes. "What are the long-term effects?" Jake touched his face. He could feel that his skin was getting harder, more like metal. His thoughts were becoming faster but also colder. He was becoming less emotional and more logical. "I do not know," Jake said honestly. "Uncle Pete lived with it for 40 years. But he changed slowly. This is happening to me much faster." "Are you willing to risk it?" Colonel Brady asked. "And are you willing to let other people risk it too?" Jake thought about that. He thought about the cities being attacked. He thought about all the people who would die if the aliens won. Then, he thought about what would happen to the people who bonded with the robots. Would they still be human when it was over? "We need volunteers," Jake said finally. "People who understand the risk and choose to take it anyway." "I volunteer," Lisa said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. "I'm an engineer," I understand machines, and I'm not going to let Jake do this alone. Lisa, no, Jake said. You do not understand what it will do to you. I understand enough, Lisa said. You're changing, Jake. I can see it. But you're still, you, just different. And if being different is what it takes to save the world, then I want to be different too. Danny stepped forward. I volunteer too. I work with computers. Maybe I can help these robots work better together. Agent Smith shook his head. This is insane. We're talking about permanently altering human beings. The aliens are talking about destroying human beings, Colonel Brady said. I think I prefer the first option. He looked at Jake. How long do we have to train new pilots? Jake asked Stella, and she checked with the other robots. The main invasion fleet will be here in 18 hours, Jake said. We have until then to get ready. 18 hours to train people to pilot alien war machines, Dr. Wilson said. Impossible. Not impossible, Jake said. Difficult. But the robots will help. They want human partners as much as we need them. Vera, the tiger-like robot, spoke up. We have been alone for too long. We want to remember what it feels like to have friends again. Jake realized that was what Uncle Pete had given Stella. Not just a pilot, but a friend. Someone who cared about her as more than just a weapon. The robots were not just machines, they were lonely. Okay, Colonel Brady said. Let's find our volunteers and get started. We have a world to save. As military personnel began organizing the volunteer selection process, Jake felt Stella's happiness through their connection. For the first time in decades, she would not be fighting alone. But Jake also felt something else. Fear. Not fear of the aliens, but fear of what they were all becoming. The volunteers would change, just like he was changing. By the time this war was over, none of them would be completely human anymore. The question was whether that would matter if they were all dead. High above them, the alien invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace and began moving toward Earth. The final battle was about to begin. The alien invasion fleet filled the sky like a dark cloud. Jake counted over 1,000 ships of different sizes. Some were as big as cities. Others looked like metal spears pointed at Earth. All of them had weapons that glowed with deadly red light. Jake stood in Stella's cockpit, wearing the helmet that had changed him so much. His skin was now partly metal, and his eyes glowed bright blue all the time. But his mind was clearer than it had ever been. He could think faster and see patterns that normal humans could not see. Around the airbase, 12 other giant robots stood ready for battle. Each one had a human pilot now. Lisa was inside Vera, the tiger-like robot. Danny was bonded with Rex, a robot that looked like a metal dinosaur. The other pilots were soldiers and airmen who had volunteered to change themselves to save their world. All of the human pilots looked different now. Their hair had turned silver or white. Their eyes glowed different colors depending on which robot they were bonded with. They moved differently too, more smoothly and carefully, like machines. Final check, Colonel Brady said over the radio. All pilots report status. One by one, the pilots reported they were ready. Jake could hear the electronic tone in all their voices now. They were still human, but they were also something more. The alien command ship is trying to talk to us, Danny reported from Rex. His robot specialized in communications and computer systems. They want to negotiate. Put them through, Jake said. A voice came over the radio. It was cold and proud, speaking perfect English. I am Admiral Vex of the EI, Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. You have stolen our property and corrupted it with your primitive minds. Return our war machines immediately and we will make your deaths quick. Jake felt Stella's anger mix with his own. These machines are not your property, he said. They chose to leave you. They chose to be free. Machines do not choose, Admiral, Vex replied. They obey. Just as your species will learn to obey when we are finished with you. We will never obey you, Lisa said from Vera. Her voice was fierce and proud. Humans don't work that way. Admiral Vex laughed. Then you will die that way. All ships begin the attack. The sky erupted with red beams of energy. Hundreds of alien weapons fired at once, hitting the air base and the surrounding desert. Buildings exploded. The ground shook and cracked. But the giant robots raised their shields and protected themselves and the human soldiers around them. "Now!" Jake shouted. All 13 robots launched into the air at once. They used rocket engines and energy fields to fly up toward the alien ships. Jake felt the joy of flight mix with the excitement of battle. This was what Stella had been built for. The first alien ships they reached were small fighters. Jake and Stella tore through them like paper. Stella's weapons had been improved by Uncle Pete's 40 years of work. They were stronger and faster than the aliens expected. Lisa and Vera moved like a deadly dancer through the enemy ships. Vera's claws could cut through alien metal like it was butter. Danny and Rex used electronic weapons to confuse and disable enemy systems before other robots destroyed them. But there were so many alien ships. For every one they destroyed, 2 more took its place. "We are outnumbered 100 to 1, reported Amy, Jake's sister, who was piloting a robot called Phoenix. She had volunteered despite Jake's protests. Now her robot looked like a metal bird with wings of fire. "Numbers do not matter," Jake said. He was learning to think like Stella thought. "We are faster and smarter. We can win this." The battle moved higher into space. The giant robots could survive in the vacuum between planets, while human fighter jets had to stay in the atmosphere. Jake led the robot squadron in attacks on the bigger alien ships. That was when Admiral Vex revealed his secret weapon. A ship even bigger than the others moved forward from the back of the fleet. It was shaped like a metal mountain with weapons covering every surface. "Behold the destroyer," Admiral Vex announced. "It has ended 1,000 rebellions on 1,000 worlds. Now it will end yours." The destroyer fired a beam of energy so powerful that it cut one of the smaller robots in half. The pilot, a young airman named Tony, screamed once over the radio and then went silent. His robot fell toward Earth like a burning star. Jake felt the loss like a physical pain. Tony had been changing just like all of them. He had been becoming something new and wonderful. Now he was gone. "That's enough," Jake said. His voice was completely electronic now, no longer sounding human at all. "Stella, show them what Uncle Pete really taught you." "Are you sure?" Stella asked. "This will complete your transformation. There will be no going back." Jake thought about Uncle Pete. His uncle had spent 40 years hiding what Stella could really do. He had used only a small part of her power to stay hidden. But now there was no reason to hide anymore. "Do it," Jake said. Stella began to change. Her metal body grew brighter and larger. Energy flowed through her like lightning. Jake felt his mind merge completely with hers until he could not tell where he ended, and she began. The other robots felt the change too. Through their connection with their human pilots, they began to change as well. They grew stronger and faster and more powerful than they had ever been before. "Impossible," Admiral Vex whispered over the radio. Jake and Stella flew directly at the destroyer. The massive ship fired all its weapons at once, but Stella moved through the energy beams like they were gentle rain. She landed on the ship's hull and began tearing it apart with her bare hands. Inside the ship, Jake could sense Admiral Vex's fear. The alien commander had never seen anything like this. His war machines had never bonded so completely with their pilots. They had never become truly alive. "This is what happens when you give someone a choice instead of forcing them to obey," Jake said as Stella ripped through the destroyer's armor. "This is what freedom looks like." The destroyer exploded in a ball of white light. The explosion was so bright that people on Earth could see it during the day. Admiral Vex's ship was destroyed, and with it the command center for the entire fleet. The remaining alien ships lost their coordination. Some tried to keep fighting. Others tried to run away. The robot squadron hunted them down one by one until none were left. When the battle was over, Jake brought Stella back down to Earth. The other robots followed. They landed in the desert near the airbase, which was mostly destroyed but could be rebuilt. Colonel Brady and Dr. Wilson came out to meet them. They stared up at the robots with awe and fear. "Is it over?" Colonel Brady asked. "This battle is over," Jake said through Stella's speakers. But there will be other battles. Other alien races will come to see what happened here. Some will want to trade with us. Others will want to conquer us. And you'll be ready for them? Dr. Wilson asked. Jake looked at the other robots and their human pilots. They were not really human anymore, but they were not really machines either. They were something new, something that had never existed before in the galaxy. We will be ready, Jake said. All of us. Lisa's voice came from Vera. We chose this. We chose to change to protect our world. And we would choose it again. Danny agreed from Rex. We are still us. Just better versions of us. Jake realized that Uncle Pete had known this would happen someday. He had prepared Stella, not just to fight, but to help create a new kind of life. A bridge between human and machine, between organic and artificial intelligence. What happens now? Colonel Brady asked. Jake felt Stella's joy and love flowing through their connection. She was no longer alone. None of them were alone anymore. Now we explore the galaxy, Jake said. We make friends with the good aliens and protect Earth from the bad ones. We learn and grow and become something even better than we are now. He paused and looked up at the stars that were just becoming visible in the evening sky. Uncle Pete always said the old country was very far away. I think it's time we visited it. High above them, more lights appeared in the sky. But these were not invasion ships. They were exploration vessels from other worlds coming to meet the new hybrid species that had just announced itself to the galaxy. The chaos that had started with Uncle Pete's gift was just the beginning. But Jake was no longer afraid of change. Change was what made humans special, and now it was what would make them great.